All right, guys, welcome into a live stream. We're going to preview tomorrow's matchup against the Green Bay Packers, the preseason finale for the Baltimore Ravens, a last chance for undrafted free agents, veterans, guys on the roster bubble to make a name for themselves and go and try to, earn themselves a roster spot. It's also some time to fine tune before the Ravens and Chiefs opener in 13 days. Man, the regular season is right around the corner. 13 more sleeps, as I'd like to say, until we got Baltimore Ravens football, baby, in the regular season against the Chiefs. And I think the Ravens are they're going to get the job done, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Shout out to Quick Strides for coming out. And we're going to get into it, man. We're going to talk about the top things that we're looking for this preseason game. And we're just going to talk Ravens football. We're going to interact with the chat, and we're going to have some fun on a Friday afternoon. So let's get into it, man. All right. Here we go. At number one, what I want to talk about here is the offensive line. So specifically, Roger Rosengarten, Patrick McCarry, who comes out first? I think Roger Rosengarten is going to get the week one start against the Chiefs. And because what he's done in practice, he got off to a little bit of a slow start in OTAs. There was reports that he was a little bit, he looked like a rookie. He was trying to get assignments. He wasn't quite comfortable. But as OTAs and camp has gone along, he's gotten better. He's gotten more comfortable. He's taken well to coaching. And that's great news. Let me see if I can fix our slide presentation here real quick. And we'll so that way you guys have a visual. So how you guys doing today, man? How y'all doing? Shout out to Abdi. I just saw Abdi in the chat, one of the OG For the Flock supporters. All right. Let's see if we can get this slide pulled up for you guys. Shout out to everyone who's coming out. We got Avery. We got Romy Raven, notorious Ravens fan. They said, any concern with the reports about the offensive line after the joint practices with the Packers, Noah? I'm not as concerned as everyone else is because we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but first of all, the Ravens aren't going to use Derrick Henry as a battering ram down there in the red zone in a joint practice. They're looking for timing. They're looking for pass concepts. Lamar Jackson was also holding on to the football a little bit more than he normally would. He didn't take off for any scrambles. He wasn't looking to run. And the Packers knew that. So they're not worried about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the run game, which allows the defensive line to pin their ears back for a pass rush. And I also think that the Green Bay Packers have an above average defensive line with guys like Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark. They got a really nice pass rush, so I'm not overly concerned. The Ravens offensive line is going to have some hiccups. They're very young with guys like Andrew Voorhees and Rosengarten projected to start, as well as the right guard situation. Not a lot of experience there with Daniel Falele and Ben Cleveland, but I think the offensive line is going to be just fine. It might take them a little bit. We've seen units that start off below average to average, and by the end of the year, if they stay healthy, turn into a really solid group, especially in the offensive line. Continuity is big time. Reps are big for guys that don't have a lot of experience. And I think the Ravens offensive line is going to be just fine by the time it's all said and done. Let me pull up these slides real quick. Thanks for the question, by the way. And here we are. All right. Shout out to Morgan, Don Rock, Marshawn Stone, Samuel Moore. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you for coming in. Samuel Moore. First time been able to catch you live. Great show. I appreciate that. Abdi says, can we trade for DK Metcalf? That would be amazing. I really shout out to Chris too. He says, fresh cut. Just got the haircut, man. I give my wife all the credit. She usually cuts my hair. So shout out to Olivia for the fresh haircut. Um, but yeah, going back to can we trade for DK? Hey, we have that connection there with Mike McDonald as the former defensive coordinator. Maybe Harbaugh and them could work something out. We give them something that we're strong at. They give us something they're strong at because they got some receivers there. They got the second-year player, Jackson Smith and Jigba. They also had Tyler Lockett. So, hey, I wouldn't mind DK Metcalf. I just have a feeling that the Ravens are going to make a move at wide receiver at some point in the season. Whether it's hey, I got my eye on a guy like Terry McLaurin or I don't know. There's some other guys that I've been thinking about, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens made a splash at receiver at some point in the before the trade deadline because of what Eric DeCosta's track record, man. He's always looking to add talent to the roster, especially at that trade deadline, bringing in guys like Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell, Marcus Peters. He had a trade in place last year for Derrick Henry before it got vetoed by the Titans owner. We also had Roquan Smith. We gave up a second-round pick for him, so I wouldn't be surprised if we made a big splash at the trade deadline. Shout out to Tanja. Good afternoon, Noah and the flock. Appreciate you, Tanja. Good afternoon. I wish we traded for DK, but I doubt it's going to happen. Probably not going to happen, but it would be amazing. Yes, Odafe Owe did look really good in practice yesterday. Speaking of the receiver position, Rashad Bateman also looked really good. Several catches, looked quick, elusive. There was a couple clips that came out from the Baltimore Ravens social media team, and Rashad Bateman made some plays. Zay Flowers was a problem for the Packers to cover. And all right, let's do it. Let's get into the preview. All right. So my first thing I'm looking at, Andrew Voorhees, Daniel Falele, Roger Rosengarten, specifically right tackle. Let's talk about right tackle first. I think Rosengarten has shown enough in training camp and in the first two preseason games to earn the start at right tackle. I think he's got more upside than Patrick McCarry. And I also think he's more athletic. However, Patrick McCarry is pretty technically sound. He started at the right side before. So are they more comfortable with the vet week one? That remains to be seen. Andrew Voorhees, I think he's got the left guard spot taken. Not that he hasn't struggled at times, but he's looked pretty good. And he's a guy that they want to see develop and get playing time and continues to groom. And I think he's going to be good here. I think he's going to be a rock on this offensive line for the next few years as a starter for the Ravens. Daniel Falele, however, that's a big question mark. You know, he's been getting the majority of the first team reps at right guard. Ben Cleveland is also in the mix for that. So I want to see specifically whenever these guys go out there, because I think, you know, like experience reps right now are at a very high premium for these guys. These young guys like Voorhees, like he sat on his butt most of the year last year. Yeah, he was working out, lifting and stuff, but like he had the torn ACL at the combine, repped out, 38 reps in the bench press, and then pretty much sat in the Ravens locker room, in the film room. And they want to see him get out there. These reps are very valuable after having that basically red shirt year for him last year. Rosengarten, I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be good for the Ravens. I think he's going to be a starter here for years. Daniel Falele, that's the big question mark. Is it going to be him, or is it going to be Ben Cleveland at right guard? Or do they throw in a wrench in it all and go with like the other vet and Josh Jones, who's been getting a lot of work at left tackle while Ronnie Stanley has not been playing in preseason, man? Because any of these guys is a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the guys we just mentioned end up starting when the Chiefs and Ravens kick off in 13 days. All right, here we go. Next up, let's look at this wide receiver battle. This is the last chance that these guys have to go and put it on tape. And I really have no idea what's going to happen at this position because Devontae Walker, he's a 4th-round draft pick. They're not going to cut him, are they? I highly doubt that. Is he an IR stash? But he hasn't showed much in training camp. He hasn't showed much in preseason, but he's healthy. Can he, go and ball out in this preseason game? I hope so. Dayton Wade has shown more flashes and promise as an undrafted free agent rookie out of Ole Miss with 800 yards of production, who runs a 4.39. He's shown more production than the 4th-round pick in our guy Devontae Walker. And I still have faith in Devontae Walker, but I want to see it. I want to see something in camp or in this preseason game. So there's guys, all these guys we're mentioning are in the mix here. Malik Cunningham, he caught a bomb, a 50-yard touchdown yesterday from Lamar Jackson against the Packers first team defense. So Malik Cunningham was getting first team reps against the Packers, and Lamar Jackson hit him for a bomb of a touchdown. Plus, he has quarterback versatility, so he could be like kind of, a wide receiver depth piece / emergency quarterback versatility piece on the roster. So I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Cunningham was either on the roster or practice squad. Deontay Hardy was he was supposed to be the starting kick returner for these new kickoff rules. But then you got guys like Keith Kirkwood, who's looked good. You got the newly signed receiver Anthony Miller, who's been making plays in camp and made a few catches in preseason last week. And then you got Russell Gage, who the Ravens signed to like a fully guaranteed $1.75 million deal. He's a guy that's had like multiple 700-yard seasons and is still like 28, 29 years old. So Russell Gage, Anthony Miller, they're veteran with proven production there, but then you got the upside and excitement of guys like Dayton Wade and Malik Cunningham, Devontae Walker. So how many receivers did the Ravens keep? At least 6, right? Maybe 7, but this game will do a lot. I really do think that they're not settled at the wide receiver position yet. So is it Dayton Wade? Is it Devontae? Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Ravens 76 B More says Dayton Wade all day. I agree, man. I want to see Dayton Wade make the roster. I just do. I think he's talented. I think he's exciting. I think he's fast. We heard about him in OTAs from an interview from Patrick Ricard and said, hey, look out for this undrafted kid. Look out. He's making plays. He keeps his head down. He's working hard. He had 800 yards of production in college last year. He runs a 4.4. He's making plays. You saw that 56-yard touchdown last week from Emory Jones. And he's also led the Ravens in receiving production in both preseason games. So the dude's making a case for himself, and I want to see him make the roster. Fred White says, I think Bateman's going to have a great year. Tylan Wallace, breakout season. I am not sleeping on Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace has built chemistry with Lamar over this training camp. He's made plays. Don't sleep on Tylan. I also agree. I think Bateman will have a great year. I think Bateman is going to, as long as he's healthy, that's been the biggest question mark. I think he's going to have over 800 yards this year. I think he's going to be have over 5 touchdowns as well. I think he's going to be a really nice, productive player for the Ravens this year, man. I like this. Ali T says Ravens Super Bowl year, Lamar back-to-back MVP, Kyle Hamilton Defensive Player of the Year. Hey, man, if Lamar Jackson wins his 3rd NFL MVP and a Super Bowl and the Ravens and Kyle Hamilton's Defensive Player of the Year, I'm here for it, baby. By the way, Kyle Hamilton's defensive coordinator said that the expectation is for Kyle Hamilton to be a defensive player of the year in the NFL. That's what Zach Orr said. E-Money says, Bateman going to have to show me. I don't believe in him. I miss Duve. Duve was a nice piece at time. He's made some plays. I believe in Bateman. But you're right. He does got to go out and show it, man. I think Wallace is going to battle for the 3rd or 4th spot this year. I agree. He's definitely worked his way up the depth chart. He went from a borderline fringe roster guy to no, he's making the team and is fighting for snaps on the first team offense. Shout out to Sherry. She says the facial hair looking good. Suits you. Finally got out of the Marine Corps last Friday, so I can grow it out a little bit. My God, please let Bateman stay healthy. Yes, I want Bateman to stay healthy because if he does, I agree with Leldon here that he's going to be a problem. Thanks for everyone that's showing up. We got 178 going right now live. Let's go on to the next point that we're looking at here in this final preseason game. I like me some Jalen Armour-Davis. The dude, he's looked good in camp. I remember whenever he came out of the draft, who was it? Chris Sims. Chris Sims had him as a top 5 corner coming out of that year as a first round caliber talent guy. He runs in the 4.3 range. He was a productive corner out of Alabama, and he's dealt with injuries. But this offseason, he's been healthy, and man, does he look healthy. He's looked good in camp. He's also looked really good in preseason, And I think he's showing he's a starting caliber type of corner. Now, maybe with how well the depth is in front of him, he doesn't get a lot of playing time, but I feel great that if a Marlon Humphrey or Nate Wiggins or Brandon Stevens were to miss any amount of time, that Jalen Armour Davis is ready to go, man. Like, he looks good. And I also think with how deep our cornerback room is, with starting caliber guys littered throughout the roster, Arthur Millette, starter. Jalen Armour Davis has shown starting potential. Nate Wiggins, starter. Brandon Stevens, starter. Marlon Humphrey, starter. Darius Washington, he was a starter last year in week 1. He's looked excellent. He picked off had a nice pass breakup in joint practices yesterday against the Packers. So the Ravens are loaded with talent at this position, and they could always just throw it out there. We talked about trade scenarios earlier in the video in our live stream. They could use a position of strength and find another team that has a position of weakness in the cornerback at the cornerback spot on their roster, and say, hey, I see you're really strong at receiver. I'm kind of hurting that corner, or vice versa. You get what I'm saying, right? And maybe the Ravens could send a corner and they could get a receiver in exchange, or a pass rusher or something. Just a thought that the Ravens secondary is so deep and so loaded that these guys that are, second team, third string guys keep putting it out on tape, and other teams around the league see that. And it's also, it's good bargaining capital. If the Ravens say, hey, I want a receiver, I got some extra corners, maybe I send a Jalen Armour Davis in a 3rd round pick and get me a nice starting caliber receiver at the trade deadline. Just a thought. But I'm excited to see Jalen Armour Davis in the final preseason game. The guy's shown a lot so far in the first 2 games. The running back room at number 4 is what we're going to talk about. Rasheen Alley versus Owen Wright. This battle has been tooth and nail, man. Rasheen Alley, a 6th round draft pick this year. Owen Wright, undrafted free agent rookie from last year. So if you look at the draft capital, it's really not a big difference. Like, a 6th round pick versus an undrafted guy isn't necessarily huge. Rasheen Alley, he's shown some good speed. He showed a couple nice kick returns, but he's also dealt with a little bit of injury. He's a little bit smaller, and but he's also a really good pass catcher. Owen Wright has been a really nice physical runner in between the A and the B gaps, like right in between the tackles, really physical. He's also showed some good hands. So I want to see who takes this RB3 spot. Because if Justice Hill or Derrick Henry misses any time, they immediately step into RB2 because Keaton Mitchell is still on the IR right now, dealing with the recovery from the ACL/hyperextension last year. Michael Spencer is 100% correct. Best secondary room in the league. You got the best safety duo in the league. You got an all-pro in Kyle Hamilton, a stud in Marcus Williams. Both of those guys are top 10 safeties. Then you got one of the best corner rooms in the league with, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, Nate Wiggins, Jalen Armour Davis, Arthur Millette, or Darius Washington, absolutely loaded. Justin Holt says right over Rasheen Alley. I think so far I'm with you. I agree on that. But Rasheen Alley's also shown I liked him coming out of college. Like, he was a guy I liked in the draft this year. So we'll see. 5, I want to see David Ojabo again, man. He on 10 pass rushing snaps this last game against the Falcons, he had 2 pressures and got to the quarterback 2 times. So 20% pass rush win rate there, 2 out of those 10 reps. Looked really good. That inside spin move was nasty. The outside speed pressure was nasty. He's so athletic and natural as a pass rusher. He's got natural bend. He's got strong hands. He's got a lot, man. He's a natural pass rusher. And I think him and Owe are going to present problems with their tenacity and their athleticism. They're very athletic outside linebackers, and they're going to test some tackles this year, man. We have insanely good luck with undrafted personnel. I agree with you, but I also want to say it's not all luck, man. The Ravens coaching and scouting staff that finds these undrafted guys, like, that's a big part of it, is finding the guys that, hey, this guy's from a small school, or maybe he ran a slow 40 so he could go undrafted, but we really like him. They do all the interviews. They do all the scouting. So I think a lot of the credit goes to the scouting staff and the general manager Eric DaCosta, and B, the coach's ability to develop guys like that. But look at some recent guys, Michael Pierce, undrafted, and by the way, if you guys remember, he was a undrafted rookie, and in the final preseason game, balled out, strip sack, recovered his own strip sack, the forced fumble for a touchdown, dominated in the last preseason game, forced his way onto the roster. And that's what these other guys have an opportunity to do. Keaton Mitchell, undrafted guy. Bo Braid looks really good this year. Could make the roster as an undrafted guy. Yeah, the Ravens are really good at finding undrafted dudes every single year, and it's a huge testament to the front office and the coach's ability to groom these guys and develop them. Samuel Moore says we could lead the league in takeaways and pass breakups. This secondary is the best we've had ever, I think. I don't disagree with you. I think this group is going to be very, very good and probably the best in the NFL. Health, obviously, big part of that. But I can't wait to see Marlon Humphrey back in the slot, back in the nickel, man, because his best year in 2019, the All-Pro year, where he had like 8 forced fumbles, was in there in the slot. And then we could see Nate Wiggins and Brandon Stevens on the outside. Brandon Stevens, highly motivated, going into the 5th year of his, the 4th year and final year of his rookie contract. So he's motivated. So yeah, man, I'm really excited for the secondary. Let's go back through. If you guys are just tuning into the live stream, things we're excited about to look for in the preseason finale against the Packers tomorrow. Voorhees, Falele, Rosengarten, the offensive line situation, specifically who goes out first at right tackle. It'll probably be Rosengarten. Wide receiver battle is tight. Russell Gage, Anthony Miller, Devontae Walker, Dayton Wade, Malik Cunningham. All these dudes are in the mix for 5, 6, and 7 on the wide receiver depth chart. So this preseason game, I think, is still going to determine a lot. Jalen Armour Davis, we talked about him. We're excited about him. Running back room, Rasheen Alley versus Owen Wright for RB3. And then David Ojabo in the pass rush. Other guys, too, like Tavius Robinson, who we're excited to see. Yeah. Let's go through the comments real quick. If you guys have any questions or anything, we'll address a few of these. Michael says, I love that our tight end room is top tier to take the pressure off the wide receivers. That's true. The fact that we have such a great tight end room does kind of mask some of the top tier talent that we could be lacking at the wide receiver position. I think Zay's a stud. I think Bateman has the potential to be a stud, but after that, it's kind of up in the air, right? Tom Wallace, Nelson Aguilar as your wide receiver 3, 4. So, the tight ends basically, like Isaiah Likely, like if you really put it into perspective, right? Check this out. I think our top pass catcher this year, like our wide receiver 1, is going to be Zay Flowers. I think our wide receiver 2 is probably like Mark Andrews, as far as pass catching order. And then maybe Bateman at 3 and Isaiah Likely at 4. And then Nelson Aguilar at like 5. And then Tylan Wallace at like 6. So the tight ends mixing into that as, elite pass catchers kind of puts it into perspective. If, I'm saying, hey, my top receiver is Zay Flowers, my second's Mark, my third's Isaiah Likely or Bateman or whatever, right? So like it does put it into perspective that how elite our tight end room is. And Charlie Kohler looks good, by the way, too. Especially put on some muscle and some weight as a run blocker, inline tight end. This offensive line better round out, or it's going to be an uproar within the fan base. 3 rookies at one time is crazy. Not fair to Lamar or the rookies for real. So, I agree that there is a lot of pressure for these guys to perform. Like there's a lot being put on their plate, but they're not all rookies, right? So like Rosengarten is the only true rookie in the mix here. Right guard Daniel Falele has been in the league for 3 years now. Yeah, it could be his first time as like a full-time starter, but he also got a lot of playing time last year at right tackle. So he's just sliding one position over, staying on the right side to the guard spot. Center, we have a Pro Bowl, Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley on the left side, who's finally healthy, and we've seen how well he can perform at times. Whenever he is healthy, he's an all-pro. That's just what it is. He's the healthiest he's been in a while. Left guard, Andrew Voorhees isn't a rookie technically. He was in the league. He was a last year's draft pick. He had a whole year to be in the weight room, be in the film room, and then he had all of OTAs and training camp. So the only true rookie is Roger Rosengarten. But I absolutely understand what you're saying, Tanja, about the fan base is going to be upset if Lamar Jackson's under constant duress. One of the things that we can do that's going to help is our guy, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to slow down pass rush. When you are looking at that RPO between Lamar and Derrick Henry, he's going to help slow down the pass rush. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind in the fact that Todd Monken likes to get the ball out quick a lot, screens, wide receiver screens to his playmakers like, Nelly, Zay, tight end screens as well. And I also think Derrick Henry's going to catch a lot of balls this year, probably the most he has in his career, because Todd Monken likes to get the ball to the running backs in the pass game. Let's see what else we got here. Hope Ismail gets more action. He's looked really good in training camp and joint practices. He made a couple grabs in preseason. I also think he's going to he's definitely a practice squad guy if he doesn't make the roster. Probably won't, because the Ravens are set there at tight end, but he'll be a practice squad guy for sure. You covered it well. I'm looking forward to seeing the young edge guys working. Tavius, David Ojabo, Adisa Isaac, all these guys I'm excited about. When you see Ojabo do it, absolutely, man. Andy makes a good point. Tyler did good his rookie year. I think Andrew Voorhees is going to be a guy for us. I really do. It might take him a little bit of time. Like, let's have a little bit of patience. I know, like, I can see it right now. I can see like Lamar taking a sack. Like every quarterbacks get sacked every game. But I could just see anytime we take a sack or a quarterback pressure, like, see, I told you the offensive line is trash, whenever they could be performing just as well as other offensive lines in the league. And maybe, a pass rusher makes a nice move and has a nice win, but I could just see it from the fan base because we're young there and because we didn't keep Kevin Zeitler or Morgan Moses. I can just see that being the constant, like, anytime Lamar's under pressure or takes a sack, see, I told you, even if they had a great game, but just gave up one sack or one pressure. I could see that being kind of the narrative throughout the season. Defense is going to ball. The offense is going to be the best one we've ever had. Let's go Ravens. The offense does have the potential to be the best we've ever had. Second year with Todd Monken's offense. The terminology's there. The familiarity's there. Bateman healthy. Ronnie Stanley could be the healthiest he's been in a long time. Derrick Henry addition. Zay Flowers second year. Like, the cards could line up for the Ravens to have one of the best offenses in the NFL. So Justin Holt, good question here. God forbid Linderbaum can't go week 1. Who starts at center, Cleveland, Samac, or Macari? Great question here, because Cleveland showed good stuff on tape the first 2 games at center. So he's shown he can at least do it, right? But then Samac, I don't know how to say it. He's also looked good recently in the last preseason game and then in joint practices. So, and he was a draft pick this year to be a backup center. So don't sleep on any of the, like, in Macari, he's done it before, but I think they want him to be a true swing tackle. But they could go with him because he's the vet that they could trust. But I wouldn't be surprised if Samac was the guy if Linderbaum can't go week 1. But I do think Linderbaum will be fine and go week 1. We'll see. Tanja says, yes, let's get the ball out quick. I want to see that. Like, and let me say this. Anytime that someone is like critical of Lamar Jackson's game or says anything he can improve on, a lot of times people get really enraged and mad. But that's one of my things that I love Lamar. 2-time MVP. I think he's top 2 quarterback in the NFL. And I think he can 100% win a Super Bowl. He's been my guy since 2018 when they drafted him. The one thing I want to see him get better at is getting the ball out quicker and not always relying on being Superman and scrambling around and making the 30-yard bomb downfield to Mark Andrews or an uncovered like that. Those moments are great, and I never want them to be taken out of his arsenal. But sometimes like the quick 5-yard hitch on first down is beautiful, and like just getting the ball out quick on a nice slant and letting your playmaker run through it and have a nice game. Like I just want to see Lamar. That's like the top thing I want to see is both from Lamar and the offense as in the scheme, is getting the ball out a little bit quicker. Because if we can mix that in with our downfield passing game, which has been consistently good with Lamar, and especially the intermediate stuff with the tight ends over the middle and the stuff we saw from Zay last year in the intermediate game, if we can sprinkle in some really nice, quick game passing game, this offense, that could be the next step to be like an elite passing attack, an elite offense that has answers for everything, especially against the blitz, man, getting the ball out quick off the blitz. That's my biggest thing I want to see from Lamar is getting that ball out quick, says Tanja. All right. What do you think about the run-pass run rate? Interesting, because we obviously only ran the ball 6 times with the running backs against in the AFC Championship. I'd like to see Derrick Henry punch him in the mouth 25, 30 times with Patrick Ricard leading the way, wear him out, and then hit him with some downfield stuff with Zay, Bate, Mark, likely. But I also want to remind you that our first touchdown was a bomb downfield to Zay Flowers. Like we could move the ball in the passing game, but we did struggle a little bit against their pass rush. So getting the ball out quick and running the ball, I think those two things are very important. And then it's also important to mention that the Chiefs lost their best corner, was it L'Jarius Sneed, to the Titans. I think they traded him away. They got McDuffie there. They got some guys. But I want to see us feature the tight ends in this first game. I want to see Likely and Bateman get their targets. And I also want to see Derrick Henry eat. So I think it'll be pretty balanced to kind of answer your question. But part of me, like my little, like, I just want to see Derrick Henry get the rock like 30 times and just beat up on the Chiefs linebackers. And they also lost they lost one of their linebackers as well. Is it Nick Bolton? I forget who it is. One of their starting linebackers is gone as well. They lost a corner. But the defense for the Chiefs is going to be good. They're good every year under the tutelage of Steve Spagnuolo. But yeah, I'm excited for that matchup, man. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. What's good? Noah and Flock says Lamont. Shout out to Lamont for being one of the For the Flock OG family members here. We love you, Lamont. Jeremiah says week 1, I can see Henry getting the work. The Chiefs have been playing some starters, but not much. Bolton is a beast. Yeah, man. So I'm excited. We're going to be watching this game with y'all tomorrow. Final preseason finale. 13 days away from the Chiefs regular season opener. That's going to be fun. That's going to be so much fun. It's right around the corner. Thank you all for tuning in, man. If you got any value, make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. Thank you all for coming out on a Friday afternoon. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.